in America.
Welcome to another episode of I Am the Revolution. This is another Black Radical edition. So we did a speech, and then we listened to another speech by Malcolm X. Was the last Black Radical episode, and today I stumbled upon a video of Huey Newton speaking about guns and gun controls, which just led me to some other videos. So we're going to start with that video, and I thought it was only fitting to start with an opening video of Huey Newton. Um, Before we get to the next video, though, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And actually, if you are subscribed, make sure you double check to see if you have been unsubscribed magically. I won't say by who, but magically you have been unsubscribed. The other thing, after you like and subscribe, hit the bell, and also join our Substack. So anytime, let me move this around. So anytime that, or this is our mailing list essentially. So because this is the easiest way for us to create a mailing list, this is the reason why we're doing this. Plus, we also want to use Substack as a way of writing articles, opinion pieces, because we're going to do that on here along with our content, our video content. So also make sure you join our Substack. Just real easy. You go to that link or to this link, and you go to this link and just enter your email. That's it. Newton. So thank you. All right. So I could take that down now. We're gonna be starting with, like I said, a video of Huey. Actually, I thought there was one more thing. Oh, roundtable will be coming up at, what's that, your time? That's 6 p.m. Eastern. The roundtable today will be coming up. I'm sorry about my schedule's a little haywire right now. I got a daughter that's sick, and I almost didn't even get on today. But I wanted to do a little bit of something, at least on this series. We also have the Nina Turner stuff going on, but I'm not going to cover that in this video. All right, so I think I got all of that out of the way. Let me switch here. Let me switch what I'm sharing. All right, so let's go here. And here we go. So this is Huey Newton, 1968. This is the one we're going to start with here. Actually, I want to make sure I retweet this out. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, I want to retweet this out here to make sure it's seen. Okay, so that is retweeted. All right. So let's get started with this. When I first saw the video, I assumed it was going to be one way, and it actually being a different way. So let's listen now. Sorry, still tweeting that out. Here we go with Huey.
I would like to make a statement concerning guns in the light of the assassination of Kennedy. First of all, our position on guns and violence in general, on war in general, is one of being against war and being against violence. And this is not a changed position if it seems in contradiction to some.
So if you heard what he said clearly, I know the sound isn't the best. He said he's making it clear that the Black Panther Party is against war and violence. And for some of our white comrades, some of our white brothers and sisters, maybe that's the first time they've heard something like that about the Black Panther Party, because there's been so much propaganda that they're violent, which is very typical thing for an oppressor to say to the oppressed when the oppressed decides to fight back. You're violent, right? So you're oppressing somebody, and then when they decide to stand their ground or to say no more, then that is perceived as some sort of aggression or violence. So let's continue with Huey here.
Some of my earlier statements simply because people have not understood what I was saying in the first place. That I say that violence, war, and guns are things that the Black Panther Party would like to see gotten rid of. That we absolutely are against people killing each other and committing violence on each other. But also, we recognize that we don't advocate that the oppressed people, that the victims leave themselves subject to the aggressions of the criminal.
That's a key part there. He's saying at the same time, we don't advocate for the oppressed essentially to give up their guns, is what I'm going to assume he's implying, because that's what this whole video is about, and he's going to make it clear at the end. But since we haven't gotten there, I'll just say it that way. And that's exactly what liberals do today. They advocate for people of the communities of color, the indigenous populations, brown and black communities, to disarm themselves. Trade in your gun. Stop the violence and trade in your gun. And that is simply not the smart thing to do when you are the oppressed class. To disarm yourself against your oppressor. So I think that's, or I'm going to assume that's what he's meaning here, and I'll rewind it back 10 seconds. So let's continue.
It's on each other, but also we recognize that we don't advocate that the oppressed people, that the victims leave themselves subject to the aggressions of the criminal. And these are the people who are forcing us to a state of subjugation and keeping us in a state of slavery. And this is the people all over the world. For instance, I'm sure the Vietnamese people would like very much for this government to give up its guns, because that would mean that the military would disarm itself and stop killing little Vietnamese children and women and destroying them. I think I stated earlier that the motto of.
You'd see how he's clearly making the distinction that, of course, we should get rid of the guns. If we do all of this and get rid of the violence, then that's going to stop all of these people, innocent people, from dying. But the establishment, the ruling class, advocates the reverse. Our military guns, our police guns are the good guns, or the good weapons. Your weapons for the peasants, those are the bad weapons. Let's get rid of those weapons. And Huey is saying absolutely he's for that, getting rid of all weapons, or getting or some sort of gun control, but he's not advocating for the oppressed people to be the ones to disarm without the ruling oppressive class. So that is a very key point, in my opinion, that he makes about this.
Of the Panther is that we're advocates of the abolition of war. We do not want war, but war.
So I'm going to rewind that part where he speaks about his abolition activism. So let's go.
Children and women and destroying them. I think I stated earlier that the motto of the Panther is that we're advocates of the abolition of war. We do not want war, but war can only be abolished through war. And in order to get rid of the gun, we find it necessary to take up the gun. So the first thing to do is not to disarm the victim, but disarm the aggressor, disarm the person who's first called.
So let's put this in real world context. Let's say there's two people fighting. Let's say one guy is obviously a lot bigger, beating down this other person. Both have weapons. One has you know, whatever kind of small weapon, and the other one has, hundreds of thousands of weapons. Which one should be disarmed in that situation? I think that's the clear message that he's sending here. Who should be disarmed? The ones that's doing mass killings all over the world, or the oppressed people who's fighting back against the oppressive class? And this also speaks to what I said also about Malcolm X, how these black radicals need to be looked at as political theorists, political thought, not just simply activists. We need to study them in the same way that we would study any political theorist, any person that is a political thinker, in my opinion. So that's what I think. Let's do a chat check here. Damn, I got this fucking pop-up. Sorry. I got this pop-up that comes up on my freaking Mac Air, my Chrome. I can't figure out how to get this shit off. I'll figure it out. But chat check. All right. Now I can see the chat. All right. So let's see. Anything on topic here? It's a good one. Gary Regular. What's up, Gary? It absolutely sounds like a self-defense discussion. But you see the person in that example with the hundreds or thousands of guns, if the other one fights back, then he's going to say that person is violence. You see the ridiculous? I wish I had a political cartoonist that can illustrate that. That this little small person is fighting back against this big brute of a guy with a bunch of weapons, Rambo style. And then when he's fighting, then in the cartoon, the guy's like, look how violent he is. That's essentially the situation in Israel, Palestine. That's the situation in all these conflicts. That's the situation here. So, yeah, thank you for the comment. Let's see. Hello, Conrad. What's up? Yeah, so you're welcome. It's needed. Education is very, very much needed, and it's not always the most exciting. Although this type of stuff is very exciting to me, but it's not always exciting to everybody. But yes, I'll leave it there. I won't go into that. Yeah. Yes. All right. One more comment. There we go. One more comment, and then we're gonna head out. Yes, we're discussing and learning together. I think, like I was saying earlier, if you just joined, I'm saying earlier, people like Huey Newton, people, even George Carlin can be considered a political theorist, but that certainly the Black Panther Party and Huey Newton can be considered a political theorist. Let's continue with Huey.
causing the violent incidents. The United States have been visiting violence upon the world or causing violence upon the world for years upon weak, oppressed people. And that we are against this, and we would like for this to be changed, and we are going to change it by any means necessary. So, therefore, that in the final analysis, that we would like for total disarmament to exist. But first, we would have to disarm the cause of the disturbance. And the cause of the disturbance is U.S. imperialism and the violence that is. The violence that is in this country is only a reflection of the violent nature of the country in the first place.
That was so beautifully said. I'm gonna actually rewind this maybe 45 seconds here. There's two things I want to point out here.
Violence upon the world or causing violence upon the world.
Actually, I don't think I rewinded far enough. I always do that.
Can only be abolished through war. And in order to get rid of the gun, we find it necessary to take up the gun. So the first thing.
What does everybody think of that? Is there a way to disarm an imperialist power without any level of violence? And that doesn't mean where we are initiating violence. I'm just saying in the process, and whatever that process is, of trying to disarm an imperialist power, can that be accomplished without violence occurring? Tell me what you think. And he said Snopes in the comments if you want to answer that question. And then let's continue while you think of, or while you get those answers in.
Thing to do is not to disarm the victim, but disarm the aggressor, disarm the person who's first causing the violent incidents. The United States have been visiting violence upon the world or causing violence upon the world for years upon weak, oppressed people. And that we are against this, and we would like for this to be changed, and we are going to change it by any means necessary. So, therefore, that in the final analysis, that we would like for total disarmament to exist, but first we would have to disarm the cause of the disturbance. And the cause of the disturbance is U.S. imperialism and the violence that is. The violence that is in this country is only a reflection of the violent nature of the country in the first place.
Right. So this is what let me paint a picture. This is what America paints as America, where American exceptionalism, we're great at everything, we're the number one country economically, we're only about freedom, justice, law, honesty, integrity. Does that sound like anything at all that resembles the United States to you? What I'm getting at is, how is there such a disconnect between what we're calling reality, meaning when we say reality, we're including, the bad things that the United States is doing. It's propaganda. The answer is propaganda. The answer is propaganda, because I just don't understand how anybody unbiased can clearly look at the world, all the issues that's happened in the world, let's say in the last 50 years, wars, conflicts, death, and the United States is the leading cause of all of those deaths, all the suffering. I don't get how Americans don't get that. That is what's weird to me. You have to be in such a shell, not just a shell that America puts, because that shell is sort of dented, cracked because of the internet. Because this whole white leave it to beaver world that white culture, white American culture likes to project, which is absolutely not at all what it is. Um, what I'm getting at is do they really believe that? Or do they understand that America has done some pretty terrible things and they're just want to like forget it? Because I do, I mean, I have a lot of friends, good friends that are white. Some of my, a couple of best friends that are white, and I've had discussions about this, and it's in my opinion, it is part of white American culture. This uh, whitewashing of what's happening, whitewashing of history, whitewashing of how you got the country, what you did to get the country. Um, so it's like it's the genesis of America. This sort of whitewashing of things. This sort of, I don't want to know the real truth of what's happening or what has happened. Like la 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 la, that kind of thing. And you see it with something like critical race theory as an example. Um, yeah, it's just bizarre. It's truly bizarre. How is I always ask this question. This might be something that's weird. How is it that Black people have been in this country for literally hundreds of years, and it's still white people that have no idea about certain Black things? It is a intentional, I don't want to know anything about what's going on over there, that I just want to be, because it's not just the shielding, because you could say that back in maybe in the 50s and 60s before the internet, where there was a lot more control of information that can be seen. Um, anyway, I'm going to keep going off on a tangent. I'll throw a couple of comments up on that particular part. So that cognitive dissidence, people don't want to believe that their government has been baddies. Baddies. Um, it's such a it is such a thing that every generation is gonna recur, because you're constantly trying to cover up what happens or what has happened or is happening now. Constantly trying to cover it up. Adding false tales to history. Abraham Lincoln is one of them. We can get into that another time. Let's see here. Thanks, Jay. Was just finishing catching up on your Malcolm X video. I'll give this a listen tonight. Thumbs up. Thank you. Actually, yeah, thank you for the reminder. Thumbs up if you're watching now, like the content. Give this a thumbs up. Content like this isn't as eye-catching as others. If I was doing a video on Sam Cedar calling out so and so, I would literally have 4 times the amount of people watching now. So that is what we have to break also on the left. We have to bring people into the classroom of this revolution. We can't move forward. We have to bring them in. Like, that is a necessary step. That is a step that cannot be skipped, the education part. Okay, so like the stream. Hopefully more people see it. watch it, even in the replay. They don't have to watch it live; they can watch it in the replay. And but we need people. If we have to force them, I don't mean force like physically, but like put the video in front of them, like, hey, watch this link. This is the way we have to do it until it starts to snowball and people start to understand, this theory can be, the application of it is when it's really going to get fun, this theory. But we have to learn it first. So let's get back to Huey here. Okay, let's get back to Huey.
You don't expect to go to someone else's home and disturb things and act violently and expect for your home to stay in a state of peace and tranquility. The first thing you have to do is stop your actions against other people.
Let's say that again. I love the analogy he gives here.
And the violence is the violence that is in this country is only a reflection of the violent nature of the country in the first place. You don't expect to.
This is the point that I lost earlier. It's a reflection. All the violence, the mass shootings, that is a reflection of a sick society. Sick from capitalism, in my opinion. But what the United States is trying to say, all this violence we do abroad and domestically, that's not who we are. We're peaceful. We only want peace and freedom as we drop bombs on people. We only want peace and freedom as the police state murders people of color. It's a projection of not who they are. And I was connecting that to how that stems from American white culture. And maybe it's grandfathered in through the system of white male superiority. I'm sorry. But let's continue.
Go to someone else's home and disturb things and act violently and expect for your home to stay in a state of peace and tranquility. The first thing you have to do is stop your actions against other people, and then violence will stop. But I think this country is so hung up on violence and ruled by force, the club, and the gun, until it'll be very difficult for them to even pass legislation to get rid of guns. And if they do pass legislation to get rid of guns, that the Black Panther Party is going to.
Yeah, so he's saying like America have romanticized guns so much that getting rid of guns is disarming people is never gonna happen. Maybe let me see if I read that wrong. See.
Things and act violently and expect for your home to stay in a state of peace and tranquility. The first thing you have to do is stop your actions against other people, and then violence will stop. But I think this country is so hung up on violence and ruled by force, the club, and the gun. And
so it's not only the gun, but ruled by force, and that's the point that I missed. That makes that a lot more clearer. We're so hung up on rule by force. Where does that come from? Where do you think that stems from? Rule by force. Think back to how this country was founded. All roads lead back to slavery. The whole concept of this is why we call dogs smarter than cats, for example, because the dog will listen to tell what we tell them to do. Where the cat say, "Fuck you, motherfucker, sit, I'm walking over here." We label that as that's not as smart as this one over here. It's a whole way of thinking it's a whole way of thinking. I'll leave it there. So yeah, thank you. I'll put that down there. And let's see. Why the the comments are always like I have to sit for like 30 seconds and then it'll update. But yeah, but let me go back to that. It's so funny. This is only a 5-minute video. But this is how I watch. So what you're seeing is my process and how I listen. I'm not sure if I have some sort of undiagnosed sort of I'm not gonna say it that way, but it's like patterns of words that it's different to me. Patterns, I can recognize patterns. This is actually how I gain followers on Twitter. I notice patterns on things of people who were, and this is how I gain. And the first pattern I notice is that if you want your tweets, if you're a small account, this is a tip. If you want your tweets to be seen by the majority of people that follow you, you need to have your tweet out on my, because I'm on the West Coast. I needed to have my tweet out by 4:30 my time, which is 7:30 East Coast. You have to be going on East Coast time. So that was the first thing I picked up. So anyway, that's an example of how I pick up patterns to bring it back to the video, because I always go off on tangents. So I pick up on patterns even when I'm listening, and just to catch nuances, to catch hidden meaning, or looked over meaning, not hidden, because they're not, it's looked over meaning. So let's listen.
Things and act violently and expect for your home to stay in a state of peace and tranquility. The first thing you have to do is stop your actions against other people, and then violence will stop. But I think this country is so hung up on violence and ruled by force, the club, and the gun, until it'll be very difficult for them to even.
It is such a difficult concept for them. It's seen as weak, but this all stems back. Rule by force comes from slavery. Or I'm not going to say comes from slavery, because it doesn't, because it was a lot of rule by force way before that. From the Atlantic slave trade, that is. But rule by force in this country, it stems from that. The first rule by force in this country was the indigenous population first, and then the Atlantic slave trade, the Middle Passage. And maybe I'll cover the Middle Passage. That's such a big topic to cover. That's such a big topic, and I'm gonna need help covering that, because yeah, I'll need help covering that. But anyway, let's get back to Huey Newton. I go off on these tangents. Anybody who watches me know that I do this, so my apologies for that. Let's go ahead and get back to this.
Pass legislation to get rid of guns. And if they do pass legislation to get rid of guns, that the Black Panther Party is going to keep an eye on who maintains his guns. If they want to disarm people, I would say first start disarming the vicious police force that occupy our communities throughout the country, where we die, we're brutalized each day, and we're shot down in the street. Our little kids are shot down.
Like when he says what he's describing is occupy, literally, this is what the United States does. The same thing they do domestically, they just apply it internationally. The same thing. The tactics of the police state here mirrors the tactics of the military state, of the military industrial complex.
Down in the street by criminals with guns under the disguise, going under the facade of peace officers. So, in the final analysis, that we stand for total disarmament, and this is not to exclude anyone. If you're going to disarm, then disarm the police. Start with the police and end up with the military, and then that we would advocate that all other countries disarm itself, and violence will stop. because then the people will have more of a chance of a redress of grievance because the racists and the imperialists will not be protected by his guns. And this is the only thing that protects him is guns. So the violence
that is absolutely true. America likes to project that we're respected all over the world. We're feared as bullies and tyrants. That's not the same thing as respect. But that's what we like to project. They're jealous of our freedom and peace, so let's go bomb them. That's like what the American public can be talked into through propaganda is just amazing to me. Just amazing to me.
the country where we die, we're brutalized each day, and we're shot down in the street. Our little kids are shot down in the street by criminals with guns under the disguise, going under the facade of peace officers. So, in the final analysis, that we stand for total disarmament, and this is not to exclude anyone. If you're going to disarm, then disarm. The police, start with the police and end up with the military. And then that we would advocate that all other countries disarm itself and violence will stop. Because then the people will have more of a chance of a redress of grievance because the racists and the imperialists will not be protected by his guns. And this is the only thing that protects him is guns. So the violence that America inflicts throughout the world is now coming home to roost, as Malcolm said before his death. That when Kennedy's brother was killed, he made the statement that the chickens have come home to roost. And I think that this is an appropriate statement at this time, that the chickens have come home to roost.
That's Huey. I'm going to take it back and
Disarm
pause it there. I'm going to do another speech, but just summing up this speech. Black Panther Party, anti-war, anti-violent. And at the same time, they do not advocate for the oppressed class to disarm themselves before the oppressive class disarms itself. And that's essentially, to me, what this I wouldn't say is a speech. It sounds like a conversation or an interview he was having. That's essentially what it sounds like he's saying here. To me, if you have different thoughts, toss them in the where was I? Toss them in the comments. I'll pop those up there. Let's look at another interview. Where did I have that? Speaks at a news conference. I think this is it here.
Do you love boating?
So let's mute that. So this is Huey P. Newton, interviewed in jail 1968. So same year. I think this is the initial video that I started with, where he's speaking about police occupying, not there to serve us. The first video I played. So I think this is part of that. But that jail looks fucking familiar. Or that is that a courthouse? Is this is LA? Oh yeah, is this Oakland he's in? Okay, so let's take a look at this one. This is I think this is even shorter. No, this is about the same time. So let me fast forward to him. Oh, it goes right to him in a few seconds. So let's listen.
Newton murder trial, which has drawn worldwide attention, is now very near. The jury of 7 women and 5 men are deliberating the fate of the Black Panther leader on the 8th floor of that building. It is their job to decide whether he is guilty of killing Oakland policeman John Fry and wounding Officer Herbert Haynes in a pre-dawn shootout last October 28th. 2 floors above the jury, in his cell, Huey Newton, who has made almost no show of emotion during the 8 weeks of trial, calmly awaits the decision of the jury. I talked to Newton in the jail.
Just a quick note. Something I learned a few weeks back that Huey represented himself. I'm not sure in this trial, but he represented himself in a lot of court cases and won. He studied history. He studied the law in California, and he won a lot of his cases when he represented himself. So I thought that was great. So adding that in here.
As far as the proceedings thus far, that the courts have only reflected the racist attitude of the general power structure, that I haven't received a fair trial, that I should not have been indicted in the first place. I was indicted by a blue ribbon grand jury, a middle-class white grand jury that did not represent a cross-section of the community.
Could you imagine hearing somebody talk like this on the news now? Can you imagine somebody talking like him from a jail cell? Being able to say the things, the critiques he's saying on TV. You just don't hear this being played.
Community. And
You say you don't feel you've had a fair trial?
no.
Why?
Number one, the judge has been very racist throughout the proceeding, very pro-prosecution, that I don't feel that I should have been tried at all. And if I had been tried, if there was an inkling of reason to try me, I should not have been tried for first-degree murder. That if the judge had not been a racist, that he would have amended the charges to a manslaughter, perhaps. The very fact that he didn't dismiss the whole charge reflects his racism.
Some of your supporters have said that the trial, that you are a political
prisoner, that are oppressing people of color all over the world, and on a local level, the police, fascist police, are suppressing, repressing.
Can you understand why they had to why whoever said the Black Panther Party is enemy number one? Listen to what he's saying. Oppression, imperialist. Like, listen to the words he's using. And this is on regular news. They can't have people who have masses of people following them using this type of language. The truth about imperialism.
Very fact that he didn't dismiss the whole charge reflects his racism.
Some of your supporters have said that the trial, that you are a political
prisoner, that are oppressing people of color all over the world, and on a local level, the police, fascist police, are suppressing, repressing the white revolutionaries, as well as the blacks who speak of and who are attempting to attain liberation. So I am not standing for violence, but I do stand for self-defense.
Back to the trial for one moment.
Could you just keep on talking?
What about your future if you're on the street next week?
I will continue to organize the Black community in a political fashion. I will help in the campaign of Eldridge Cleaver for president, my own campaign for 7th Congressional.
So they were activists and they ran for office. Imagine Afeni running for office. Imagine Rome, JB. I'm not even gonna say me. I couldn't run because no, my anxiety. I could not hold my tongue if I was there. I would be like, "Oh, everybody, be quiet." The the insider trader person is about to talk. Go ahead, speaker. Like, that's how I would be. Like, I'm not being nice. I'm not here to be civil with you. Like, so I couldn't be it. You get what I'm saying? Like, so I couldn't be that. Oh, I'll be like, oh, the war criminal Obama wants to talk to me. Okay. That's what I would say. But anyway, let's get back to Huey.
District, and I think this will be a large job because it's going to be done from a grassroots level, from door to door in the community. It will we will consider the people on 7th Street who stand on the corners, who have lost all faith in this society.
That is the same thing when Rome was here. We talked about. We was like, man, what are we gonna do with this revolution? We need to amass the people right here in my garage out here. We outside smoking some Cali stuff, talking about revolution. And we were saying we have to go and get, when we were on Skid Row, we had this conversation too. Like, this is where we need to get the people for the revolution. The people who have been who has seen the worst of the system, where it's no convincing. You get what I'm saying? It is no convincing about the terrible inequalities of capitalism and how it needs to be destroyed to the people on Skid Row. Literally no convincing. Hey, capitalism fucked up. Let's go. That's it. And gang members, former gang members, people who they label as criminals. Can you imagine the Crips and Bloods? Now revolutionaries? Let's see who we have here. Huey Newton had 2 Black Panther Party members to assassinate Frank Word, a popular pimp here in Oakland in 1980 on Brooklyn Street. That's a little bit of history that we all didn't know. Police dispatch doesn't need electricity if they're good at their own job. Got you. Obama was just doing what Hillary and Biden told him to do. True that. Yes, it would be lit to get those masses of people, and we can get it. So further in that conversation, Rome was saying, yeah, man, he was just imagining being down there. We would have one of the corners, and, DJ out there on one corner, the other corner is food being given, and then he's preaching in that square. In the intersection, he's preaching, talking about the revolution. It would be lit. It absolutely would. Let's continue with this interview.
As a matter of fact, all other will attempt to rehabilitate them, to show them that there is possibly some gains in political action, and if it's sincere, and if the Black people have exclusive control of it within their community. So in my campaign.
You say, you got enough, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I guess he couldn't wait to get out. Let's see what this next one. Let me fast forward to where he speaks. Actually, it's just footage. So the other 3 minutes, that's pretty weird.
I would like to make a statement concerning.
My bad. All right, so let's go to the final one. It's also another short one. I had 3 short ones. That's the other one. And we'll go to the final one. I have it here. Oh, wow, that's ours. Right, y'all. Is this it? No, that's not it. My bad, everybody. I thought it was right here. All right, so maybe I have to go here. Go to their page and see if it's there. Maybe I missed it here. So again, shout out to this channel, Afro Marxists. Shout out to them. Check them out. it got some good content on here. So let me see if I can find it, since I didn't have it prepared, everybody. So how come on? I was gonna do a Martin Luther King one today, but that speech was a little long, so I went with these shorter speeches. It looks like I'm not gonna find it, so I might just call it. Actually, I'm gonna give you a preview of another one they have on here, which is with Fidel Castro. Shit. Where is it? With Fidel Castro. Okay. Let's look at this thing here. This might be it. I don't remember that being the caption. All right, so let's look at this last one before we sign off. The roundtables in 30 minutes. I believe this is it. News report on the Black Panther Party. So this is news coverage.
The leader of the militant Black Panther Party will go on trial July 15th in Oakland, California, accused of murdering a policeman. The Black Panther Party has attracted strong national support from radicals and intellectuals, black and white. The Panthers openly advocate the use of guns against the police, claiming that they don't attack, but will only shoot in self-defense, a point disputed by Bay Area law enforcement agencies. The Panthers say...
So a tried and true tactic that these white corporations do is this. They have the black person give the corporate news so that it stops people from saying that it's racist or that it's bullshit because a black person is saying it. They use it all the time. And it used to be real bad, but literally I would do this. I would go just watch the news. And then if they start, if the person, whoever the person was, like if the suspect was black, the person giving the news was black. If the suspect was Hispanic, it was literally like that, where you could point it out like that. And that's essentially what we have with the black bourgeoisie. It's black faces, but spewing the same sort of white corporate angles or perspectives. And you can hear it in what this guy is saying, the terms that he's using.
The Black Panther Party has attracted strong national support from radicals and intellectuals, black and white. The Panthers openly advocate the use of guns against the police, claiming...
Like in the way he's framing that, they openly advocate using the guns. That's for white fear. That's to interject white fear. That's for the white audience that see the black guy saying it. So the black guy saying it. So I'm not racist if I think this should stop. You get it?
Claiming that they don't attack, but will only shoot in self-defense, a point disputed by Bay Area law enforcement agencies.
When have you ever seen it done the other way? You rarely see the cop said this, a point disputed by 5 other witnesses. But they say this. Oh, but the Bay Area does have a different say, as if to say, yeah, this white organization, the police, the ones that we really trust, they say that's a lie.
The Panthers say this is the only means of ridding the black ghetto of what they call police brutality and oppression. The party was founded in 1966 by Huey.
What they call? What do you mean what they call?
Black ghetto of what they call police brutality and oppression. The party...
Police brutality and oppression. I couldn't even be black and say this kind of shit, man.
The party was founded in 1966 by Huey Newton and has membership estimated between 250 and...
See the picture they want him to have? There's many pictures of him, but this is the picture to instill fear.
1,000. Within the last 8 months, their policy and police response has led to 2 major gun battles and to the deaths of a policeman and a Panther teenager.
Their policies led to that. the Black Panther policies. Not the racism, not the oppressive police state, but they cause it.
Membership estimated between 250 and 1,000. Within the last 8 months, their policy and police response has led to 2 major gun battles and to the deaths of a policeman and a Panther teenager.
I'm telling you to take your hands off me.
The Black Panthers first made...
But what this is a teaching in how to criminalize Black men. So this is a textbook example of how to criminalize Black men. You have no reason, Black Panthers, to be upset and carrying guns and all this stuff. There's no reason. Let's listen some more to this.
National news just a year ago when they entered the state capitol in Sacramento armed with rifles and pistols. They were there, they said, to demonstrate opposition to the proposed legislation that would outlaw the carrying of loaded weapons.
Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Who's under arrest? Am I under arrest? Am I under arrest? Place him under arrest. Go ahead, brother. Am I under arrest? Take your hands off me if I'm not under arrest. Am I under arrest? I'm telling you to take your hands off me.
In the year following this incident, there were a series of armed confrontations between the Oakland police and the Panthers.
So if you didn't know, the reason we have certain gun rules is specifically because of the Black Panthers. Specifically. So Second Amendments is cool until Black people started to say, let's use Second Amendment rights. It's all to me, it's all an indication of white fear. Because if you know you fuck somebody over, you would be deathly afraid of that person having a gun. So to me, it's revealing white guilt. The white fear is revealing white guilt, because if you just hand somebody a gun, if a person has a gun and it's just their right to have a gun and you've never done nothing wrong with them, you wouldn't have any fear. In the same way that some white people don't have fear if they see a white person having a gun. Oh, it's just hunting. The tangents I go on. Let's continue.
The police maintain the Panthers have provoked these incidents. The Panthers claim the police are trying to liquidate their leadership and destroy the party.
Now, we all know the police. I'm not going to say it that way.
Last April, when Oakland police stopped a carload of Panthers, a gun battle broke out in this house. The details remain confused. Both sides claim they fired in self-defense. After 90 minutes of shooting, the Panthers surrendered. The Panthers say 17-year-old Bobby Hutton came out first with his hands up and was shot to death. The police say they thought he had a gun and was trying to escape. Eldridge Cleaver, author of the...
How was that even a reason? But there goes what Nick says all the time, and I'm going to end it there because I got to get off before the next stream. I wish I can continue. You don't have a Second Amendment right if possessing a gun gives police the right to shoot you. That means you don't have a Second Amendment right. If all you have to say they had a gun and they have a right to have a gun. So this is something Nick has been saying, pushing very hard. You don't have a Second Amendment right. If you can be shot and the police, nothing happens to the police simply because you possessed a gun, not that you were in a gunfight, you just simply had a gun with you. How do you have a Second Amendment right to have a gun then? because they said they thought he had a gun and was fleeing. Because if they just said they thought he was fleeing, they shot him, maybe they would have had a problem. But you add the gun part. That makes the black guy scary. But again, what happened to the Second Amendment rights? He's not running towards you to shoot you, but you kill him anyway. See a couple more seconds here.
For the much praised book, Soul on Ice, and Panther leader was shot by police and arrested in the incident. Oakland Police Chief Gain.
There have been many people in this city who have maligned this police department, who have, through some moral sentimentality or other reason, sympathized with the Black Panthers and the peace and freedom movement. And what real evidence is there to cause people to be so sick as to do that aligning? Take a look at this moral and unjustified junk that has been put out. Bobby Hutton, they try to deify one who tried to murder policemen. And what do they say on this piece of paper? A black man who dedicated his life to defending the black community from racist oppression was murdered in cold blood by Oakland police. Ridiculous lies.
Where's the lie? You killed him. But the very fact that people see the Black Panthers, other than the violent organization that you're trying to portray, you see how you can see the emotion in this guy, how he's telling the story. I'm going to put the sound off as it's playing, but you could see he's simmering. And this guy's in law enforcement. This guy's in law enforcement. Look at him. He's trying to hold his shit in. And he's upset, not that they're describing the police officer. I thought maybe he was going to say, look how they're talking about the police. He's mad how they're describing the person they murdered. What kind of shit is this? So the loved ones of the person you guys killed, they can't describe him in a good way? Yeah, that guy's going to present equal justice to black. He's going to do that.
What evidence is there to cause people to be so sick as to do that?
They're sick. If they align with the Black Panther, they're sick. I actually think it's the opposite. You're sick if you align yourself with the police department. After you see what they're doing and have been doing, you're the sick one.
Aligning. Take a look at this moral and unjustified junk that is.
It's unjust. What does that even mean? The words that he's using to describe what he's talking about is so misplaced. How is a flyer describing somebody who's dead? How is that unjust? You see the twisted understanding of justice?
Has been put out. Bobby Hutton, they try to deify one who tried to murder policemen. And what do they say on this piece of paper? A black man who dedicated his life to defending the black community from racist oppression was murdered in cold blood by Oakland police. Ridiculous lies. Ridiculous.
He's trying so hard not to say these niggers. He is trying so hard not to say that.
A black man who dedicated his life to defending the black community from racist oppression was murdered in cold blood by Oakland police. Ridiculous lies.
A slave. Use the word slave and slave owner in that, and it'll make more sense. the vitriol that's coming from this guy. Just insert those words. All right, I really got to get going because the next stream is up, and I want to give the audience a break before we get to hang on a second. Before we get to the roundtable, so I want to give it a break. But I might have to cover this video again. Maybe under the defund the police, because this shit, he's clearly upset. It's saying the deification. Anyway, these people, boy. All right, so I'm gonna throw some comments up, and then I'm gonna be outie. Yeah, they don't. This is why I'm telling you, everybody, subscribe to our mailing list, because we send emails out about our episodes, so you'll be notified of all of our episodes. All you have to do is I'll put the thing up. Join our mailing list. Go here, join our mailing list. And what did I just? Oh, I was going through the comments so I can get out of here before everything. YouTube did notify me. I think I put that one up. Absolutely. Little Bobby Hutton was executed in a house on Myrtle Street in West Oakland by McClymonds High School in 1968. But again, if you just watch that video and replace Bobby Hutton or Black Panther with slave, and it'll make more sense what he's saying and how he's speaking. Because it's like the audacity of a slave coming after a slave master, and then you're deifying this slave. That's the context. Because that's their history. A slave coming after a slave catcher? Can you imagine? And then other slaves praising that slave? Terrible. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna head out. I was looking for more, just to throw up some more comments here. Okay, I think got enough. Any new ones? All right, so again, like the stream, share this type of content. I Am the Revolution series is very important in the educational process. We're all learning. These are videos I'm just watching also. So we're all learning history. We're all learning political theory from a lot of these Black radicals. And I think the next time, I think I'm going to do What's Communism next. But we'll see. I might have an itch to do something else. So, all righty. We've been demonetized because of some technical issues. I think I mentioned it. That's the reason why you can't send super chats. So please, if you're able to support us, we really appreciate if you support us through Patreon. That is the best way to support RBN. Patreon is Revolutionary Blackout. You can look us up where it's easily to find. Patreon.com/Revolutionary Blackout. Join our mailing list. And you'll get links to when we do these videos. We're gonna be getting on Rumble. We have to diversify our platforms because we never know which one we're gonna be removed from. So that's what we're in the process of doing. Rumble. We're already on Getter. We're on Substack. There's another one. Odyssey, we're gonna be getting on. That's the other one. So, all right. So that is it, everyone. Let me see if I can find another cool video to end with. Let's see if I have any cool videos to end with here. I mean, I do, but it's a matter of which one do I want to end with here. An oldie or a goodie? Oldie but goodie, or a new one here? Let's see. Did I play the Margaret Kimberly one? Well, let's not do no war ones, because we've been given a warning. Actually, all creators, I think, have been given a warning about reporting on the war. They don't play with that shit. That's one area of pushback that they don't play with. And when I say they, I'm talking about I'm gonna go with this Margaret Kimberly clip. Yeah, a second here. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. I thought it wasn't working. All right, so let me take this one down. I'm gonna end with this clip. I won't be coming back after the clip, so the stream will end right after the clip. And like I said, the roundtable will be starting in about 10 minutes. Is this the same one I was just sharing? Yeah, I'm sharing my own thing. That's the wrong one. So it's this one then, not that one, this one then. All right, so I'll end with this. It's about 2 minutes long. Margaret Kimberly, she's talking about Barack Obama. So enjoy this clip. You won't see me till next week. I'm off on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I gotta see what's going on with my daughter. So wish her well. Thank you everybody for watching, and make sure you subscribe to Substack. Thank you for everybody in the comments. This is Margaret Kimberly on Barack Obama. Oh, was I muted that whole time? Sorry. Let me say all of that again. Or was I muted that time? Was I? Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if it updates and somebody says I was muted. Okay. Thank you for subscribing to Substack. Thank you. All right. So Margaret Kimberly, I guess I was. So I guess I wasn't muted. So here we go. Margaret Kimberly on Barack Obama. Or I feel like the number one thing that Black people are most unaware about Barack Obama is his foreign policy decisions. So what do you believe are some of his most egregious foreign policy decisions? I know there's many, but if you had to name a few for...
Well, I'd say Libya, and as I mentioned it already, but Libya's in the forefront. This is the 10th anniversary of the year that, with Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, leading the charge to destroy this country. It goes back a long way. There had, it was something that was, it's a funny thing about foreign policy. There's all this continuity. So people who worked for George Bush talked about the project for a new American century, basically the US getting to do it, whatever it wants in the world and not having any adversaries who can stop them. And one of those things they wanted to do was to get rid of the secular Arab leaders. So they start with Iraq and they get rid of Saddam Hussein. Then they move on to Libya, destroyed that nation. There's still no Libyan government 10 years later, created an ongoing humanitarian crisis. Gaddafi, I remember that year, he said something at the time, I didn't know what he was talking about. He says, if my government falls, Europe will turn black. What he meant was his government kept African refugees from trying to get to Europe on the Mediterranean. Well, after he left, of course, those floodgates opened. So there's this ongoing humanitarian crisis, people dying, trying to get to Europe. And that was caused by this destruction of Libya, giving cover to these jihadists who are America's proxies, then sending those people to Syria and trying to do the same thing to Syria. Syria was destroyed by the US and NATO with groups like ISIS, like Al-Qaeda. They were the proxies to try to get rid of Assad.